Hello friends, my name is Shivam from DevOps Schools and I will help you to enable your learning process in various technologies of DevOps, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data and many more. This is our initiative to help you by sharing multiple tutorials and videos. And if you want any specific tutorials or any particular topic, then please do comment in the below comment section and I will help you with it. Also, please subscribe to our premium services on YouTube, which will give you access to more content and videos to enhance your knowledge about all these topics. Also, if you want me to help you with regards to the online trainings and classroom sessions by our qualified trainers, then please do write me at contact@devopsschool.com. Thank you.
Okay, so we are talking about the concept called as routing. Okay, now routing is a process which is running on a device called as router. So router is, I told you, router can do two functions. It is a network layer device which is running on layer 3. And the first very important function which router can do is to connect two different networks together and make sure that communication should be possible. Second very important function which router can do is to find out the best route to move the packet from source to the destination. Correct? Now the process for actually finding out the best route is nothing but routing process. Correct? Now, which can be done with the help of some protocols actually. Now we can call it as routing protocols. Correct? So routing protocol is set of some rules which we can use it on the router, or you can say configure it on the router, that will make sure to find out the best possible route for your packets to move from your source to the destination. Correct? Now router is, you can see router use algorithm to generate and maintain the information about network part. Now this algorithm is nothing but some protocols are there, and those protocols are actually working on some algorithms. Now there are protocol called as RIP, there is a protocol called as OSPF, there is a protocol called as IGRP, EIGRP. These all protocol help us to do the routing. That means to find out the best path. And every protocol do have some set of algorithm. Based on that algorithm, we will be able to find out what is the best path for your particular packets to move on. Second point, they talked about metrics for determine the best route. Now how to find out the best route? Now every routing protocol do have different metrics to find out best route. Some routing protocol will took the metrics as a bandwidth. They will see that which route give me the best bandwidth, that would be the fastest. Correct? Some routing protocols do have an algorithm to find out the best path based on availability, based on reliability, and based on the cost. Correct? So every routing process which is happening with the help of routing protocol, every process do have their own method to find out the best route which is available. So routing, it's simply a process which is running on the router with the help of routing protocol in order to find out best path based on their metrics which is available. This is what they can talk about routing. Correct? Now this is a simple diagram they are giving you. We will see the routing. We will going to configure all the routing process in CCNA course, but in N plus networking basic courses, they are providing you just an idea that if my computer network is here and I do have group of routers over here, and this is my destination, which would be the best path he is going to choose for it. So routing is a process who can define, I do have multiple path. I can go from this route. 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 There are multiple paths available in order to reach from source to destination. But routing will find out the best path, fastest path for you. And this is happen because of the routing protocols which are available. Correct. Now, routing protocol also consider some routes. Now, routing protocol is to find out the best routes for your source and destination. Correct. Router do a very fantastic thing whenever they find out the best path based on their algorithms or based on their routing protocols. Router always keep the entry of this particular path as a route. So next time if someone want to go to the same destination, he do not need to do for routing once again. He already have the best path for that destination. He directly route that packet to that specific destination already. So routing is a process. It requires some CPU, some time to find out the best path. But router do some add-on things that he will specify and store all the best path in his system, in his operating system. So he do not need to do the routing again and again. He will store all the best path in the form of route table. If I want to go to the same destination again, rather going for the routing process, I will just refer that route table. If that particular table help me to find out there is a pre-existing path is available, I will directly move my packet to that particular path. Correct. This is what we can call it as route. Route are the best path stored in the routing tables actually. Correct. Now this is how the routing table look like. This command is called as show IP route. That will tell you what are the best routes are available in that particular routing table. Now we will discuss this particular thing when we configure the routing. We are firing this particular command to find out the best routes which are available. But this is just to give you the example that what are the best routes which is possibly available. Correct. Now this is the entries which is available. This is a gateway information. There is a local loopback, local subnet, network interface card, local broadcast, local multicast. That means it will give me the complete information about the destination. You can see this is all the thing about destinations. They're not talking about the source because this is a routing table information. If I would like to go to this destination and if this entry is available over here, router will already have the best path for that particular route. He will forward your request blindly with the help of this route. So routing table and MAC address table exactly do the same job. But MAC address table store the MAC in order to store the data within the local area connection. Router will store the routing table information. There is one more interesting thing is available that he will share this routing information to the neighbor or to another router who is either connected directly or indirectly together. Correct. So that is additional thing which your router can do. He will take some additional information from other router as well. If I do have two routers connected together, if another router do have some best route, what this router can do, they can exchange the information about the best route with each other in order to make it work better. Okay, we will see that in the concept called as dynamic routing, what dynamic routing is. Correct. Now static routing. Now there are two type of routing. I told you routing is a process to find out the best route, but there are two type of routing can be done, either a static routing or either the second routing would be called as dynamic routing. Correct. Now what happened in static routing actually? In static routing, you have to specify the best route to the destination manually. Okay, I will explain you in a very simple diagram. If I say, let's say this is my one router. correct? And I do have some switch over here. They are connected by wire, and I do have some computer. Okay. Now let's say my destination is something like this. I do have some other router over here, and he do have a switch over here. You do have computer attached, and they are connected together.
Hey viewers, our Mastery in DevOps engineering program can help you to hone the skills necessary to succeed in high-level DevOps positions. So, what are you waiting for? Enroll now and earn certification that show you are keeping pace with today's technical roles and requirements. Contact info is mentioned in the video sidebars and in the description box. Book your seats for the upcoming batches now.
Now I don't know, there might be biggest network over here. For example, I don't know what are the networks are available at this moment of time. Correct? It's connected like this. Okay. Now I will tell you what static routing can do. In static routing, I need to mention the complete route from source to destination manually. I need to tell my router manually which are the best path to go through. I have to specify which IP address you need to move, which entry point, which gateway. Okay, everything I have to put the entry manual, and not just with a single router. It has to be done with your another router as well. So it should not be one way. It has to be done into both the ways actually. Correct? So static routing is a manual process to provide the best route to the router manually. Now, if it is okay, I'm connecting to the single router. But what if I do have multiple routers we need to connect it? Then it is very difficult to manage your routing method with a static method, because every time I need to connect and I need to configure each and every best route manually onto the static router. So if it is okay, if you have 2-3 routers in your network, that's fine. It is manageable. However, if you are having a huge network, then static routing won't be able to manage your entire network there. It is very difficult for human to manage it. But I will tell you, static routing is very fast method, because you don't need to define anything. Because I told you, routing is a process happening on the router to find out the best route. But in static routing, I already told him what is the best route to connect to the destination. So routing will not happen. So that will save your time in a static routing. But the only one problem would be every process has to be manual. Whatever best route which you can think of, you have to configure each and every route manually. That is a limitation in static routing. We will see practically how to configure the static routing as well. But currently understand, in routing there are two methods. One is called as static routing, correct? And second one is called as dynamic routing. Now you can see static routing does not change unless administrator change them. Everything is a manual, correct? Static remain in the routing table whether or not destination is active, correct? Now remember that whether your destination is active, whether it's closed or not, because this is a manual entry which you have entered. Static routing will be there only. It will not manually, you have to delete it, but that entry won't be work automatically. It's a complete manual process, correct? It is useful in a small network. I told you it is. If you are having a small network, it is very useful, very fast, correct? Very precise. But if it is very good for your smaller network, For a bigger network to handle everything manually, it would be difficult for you. Correct? Now, this is a method of static routing they are giving you. We will design this complete scenario and we will tell you what exactly the best path to find out. So don't worry about that. We will discuss this particular thing practically, how to configure the static routing. But just understand, you have to provide the best route to your router with the help of manual process. Correct? Now, on other hand, there is one more dynamic routing process. Now, dynamic routing is completely automatic. Correct? He will find out the route automatically based on the metrics which we have. Correct? Router can update each other. I told you, if you have multiple routers together, it is very good that every router will provide his information to other router to find out, okay, if you want to go ahead, whatever best route which I have, I will share with you. Can you provide me your best route to me? So they can exchange the information automatically. Correct? Because any given point of time, any changes or any update is happened to the network, that update has to be delivered to everyone to update themselves. Now, in a static routing, what they said, whether your destination is alive or not, still that route is available in your routing table. Why? Because it was a manual process. But in dynamic, it's completely different. If your destination is not alive, that internet, that particular network is completely down, you won't be able to go to the destination right now. Automatically, the update of that particular destination has been closed. That message would be automatically updated on your router. In manual process, that is not the case. Correct? Anything or any particular time, if your best route are failed due to some reason, you got some best route, but due to some reason they are not be able to working right now, automatically dynamic routing will try to figure it out, what is the best alternate path to reach to that destination. So remember that this is also a very good technique which dynamic routing is provided. In static routing, whatever best route are available, that is the by default route. Whether that route is available or not available, it is not automatically able to find out some other route at all. So remember that this is again the best feature for dynamic routing. So you can see routing is a process. Under the routing process, there are two different type of routing: static routing and dynamic routing. Dynamic routing is fully automatic. Static routing is completely manual process. Correct? Okay. Now under the dynamic routing also, there are four different categories. Okay. Now under dynamic itself, static does not have any category. It work on static means static. Under dynamic, there are four different type of protocols. One is called as distance vector protocol, and the protocol is called as RIP. Correct? So RIP version 1 protocol, RIP version 2 protocol. Correct? That type of protocol is called as distance vector protocol. Now, this is very important to understand. What do you mean by distance vector? Correct? Now, a simple example, you can see the diagram over here. Okay? A very simple example I can show you with the help of this diagram. Okay? Now, if I see a dynamic process and if I see I'm using a method called as distance vector protocol method for dynamic routing, my first criteria to find out the best path would be how many hop counts are there. Hop count means how many router which I need to cross. So router is nothing but your hop count. How many routers I need to cross in order to reach to the destination.
Hey viewers, trying to get into DevSecOps? Enroll for our DevSecOps certified professional programs and earn the certification that shows you are fit for these technical roles and requirements. Contact info is mentioned in the video sidebars and in the description box. Book your seats for the upcoming batches now.
So that is nothing but my hop count. If I'm using any distance vector routing protocol, which is a dynamic routing protocol, the major metrics in order to find out the best route is called as hop count. Okay, hop count is nothing but how many router you need to cross in order to reach to the destination. And matrix says you should have minimum number of hop count in order to reach to the destination. If you have minimum number of hop count in order to reach to destination, that could be my best path under the control. We can call it as distance vector routing thing. So I will definitely going to do it. It is called as, majorly it is called as hops, minimum number of hop count. Correct. Now by default, the RIP protocol, which is a routing protocol, which is coming under the category called as dynamic. In that RIP protocol, it will support up to 15 hop counts. Means I can send the data with RIP protocol from source to destination, but you have to make sure that the destination should not be more than 15 hop counts. This is very, very important regarding RIP is concerned. This is very good for smaller networks, or you can say small organizations. This is a very, very good method in order to send your data. Second category would be called as link state routing protocol. Correct. Now this is something which we can talk about is called as the best part to find out under the category called as link state. That is called as link speed from destination to your source. Now I do not worry about how many router I need to cross in the case of distance vector. Link state protocol typically work on link speeds, whatever link speeds which is available to find out. He will find out the best path where the link speed would be highly available. You can say bandwidth. Correct. If I calculate this, if I say I want to use any distance vector router, I will confirm that what is the minimum count I need to reach to this destination. If I go from here, I need to cross 4 different routers and I will reach over here. If I want to go here, I need to go for 4 here. Okay, if I go from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here I require 5. So this is not best path for distance vector. What would be the best path? The minimum number of routers. Correct. Here I will also get 4 routers over here. You can go to this path, and this. This is also 4 router, and outer ring is also 4 router. Correct. So if I come to know that this is also 4, correct. This is also 4. This is the second is also 4, and this is also 4. All three are best path. Why? because I need to reach to the destination with minimum hop count. Correct? Now, if I'm getting something like this in this particular diagram, that I have multiple best path, then what should I do? So the concept is called as parallelism. I will do load balancing between these routes. If I have multiple route with the same cost, or with the best route, if you have multiple location, then I will do the load balancing between these route. So I will send some data from this route, send some data from this route. Every possible activity I will do that. Correct? So this is called as distance vector. So where hop count are important. But in the case of link state does not bother about how many routers he need to cross in order to reach to my destination. He only concerned about how much bandwidth I'm getting in order to transfer the data. Whoever is giving me the best bandwidth, that would be my best route, or that would be my best path which I can use it for under link state protocol. Correct? So if it is a 5 or 6 router, but every time the bandwidth of this router is very high, then definitely my link state vector or link state protocol always choose that would be the best path for me. Correct? Now there is one more category they are going to talk about. Okay, that category is called as hybrid. Okay, there is a hybrid protocol. Now there is a hybrid protocol called as EIGRP and IGRP. IGRP and EIGRP is a proprietary Cisco protocol which is actually hybrid. Now hybrid means that protocol do have both the features. That means it work on distance vector algorithm, that means minimum hop count, and it can also work on a link state. He will work on both the algorithm, and he will make sure that he would be able to find out the best path of any of these algorithm which is available. The major motto or the option which we would like to do it, that every time we need to find out whatever option which we have it, to find out the best path after. Correct? So there are some hybrid protocol based on the situation. They can work as a distance vector, or sometimes they can work it as a link state protocol. Correct? But sometimes it would be risky to use such protocols actually. The way it is designed and developed, that whatever best path he can find it out for you, that particular option which we can use to find out the best path. Correct? But this is a proprietary protocol. It is not free of cost. It is only available in Cisco devices. It is not available in every networking devices which we have. Now there is a path vector routing. Now this is something which is called as BGP. This is called as border gateway routing. Now this is actually, if I would like to connect two different countries together, if I would like to connect two different content together, if I would like to connect two different internet service providers together. So it is a very high level networking term where path vector routings has been used. Now this is not a network layer routing process. It is actually a transport layer routing process. Okay, remember that path vector is the only process actually work at a transport layer, or other networking related layers would be layer 3 only. The only path vector protocol is somewhere we would like to go and go to the transport layer in order to manage it. Correct? However, path vector protocol is used for inter-domain routing. This is what is the problem is. Inter-domain routing means if you have a very huge network like a company or office, and if you would like to connect to another countries actually with the help of this particular protocol, we can use path vector protocol in order to do that. Correct? So there are different protocols are available. We will see this in deep dive from Monday, so don't worry about that. Okay, this is some comparison they are giving you. What is a static routing and what is a dynamic? So static routing, all the routing table, you have to create that. You have to load that particular routing table. Correct? You have to make sure that your router cannot be getting updated if any update is happened to the route. Correct? On other hand, dynamic routing is completely automatic. He will actually inform each other to find out the information about the best route. He will keep the information about best route to route inside the system. So all those facilities would be available in dynamic routing. Correct? Now, this is a distance vector routing.
Hey viewers, are you looking for formal training on SRE practices? Take our SRE program. This course will teach you how to successfully implement site reliability engineering in the modern day 24/7 services. Kickstart your SRE training today. Contact info is mentioned in the video sidebars and in the description box. Book your seats for the upcoming batches now.
Okay, this is RIP version 2 and RIP NG. NG stand for next generation. Correct? So these are all routing protocol, but under which category? This is called as distance vector routing protocol. Correct? This is a link state routing protocol. Here he would be able to find out the best route to your destination based on the link speed or the bandwidth which you are getting. Okay. Now the next concept is it's called as virtual LAN or called as VLAN. Now this is very important concept. Correct. Now the concept I will explain you within 10 minutes, then we will stop it. Okay. Let's say in my office building, I do have an office building. I do have 3 different floors. Okay. Now this is my office building, for example. So this is floor 1 and floor 2. Okay. Now every floor is dedicated for some team. So here my management team is sitting. Here my administrators are sitting, and on the top floor, developers and admins are working, means network admins and IT department. So you can say here, this is a management team. This is something called as admin or finance team, and this is called as IT team. So remember that every department do have some set of computers which they need to connect it within that particular option. Correct. So what I can do, I do have a switch I can connect in IT department. I will create a switch in admin department, and I will give you the switch to the management department. Correct. Now I do have some of the computers in admin, some of the computers in IT. Okay. Now these are connected with their respective switch. Okay. It is connected to the respective switch. Now this is perfectly fine. No doubt about it. Very good option. This is how it could be done. correct? Now the challenge would be happen over here, something like this, correct? Understand, you are actually admin department. I do not want to share any of your details from admin department to management department, correct? I do have another option that whatever data sharing should be happen, it should be happened within that particular network. Okay, that means IT team can handle their own network, correct? Your particular thing would be happened on their own network, correct? So my primary concern is to make sure that your data which you are sharing, it should be done within your organization and within your teams. It should not be shareable to other. What is the solution which we have? I would say I can simply create a different network for admin, management, and IT department. I will say this I will create into 192.168.1 network. Okay, this would be creating at some another network 192.168.100, correct? That's fine. It is completely acceptable that you are going to create some different network. So your first problem has been resolved, that it is completely isolated. But remember one thing, these all switches are connected with each other. Now why it is connected with each other? Maybe that IT department people can come to the second floor to do some work. Management people can go to the IT department and connect their cables and computers to do some work. That is possible. Am I right? Now it is absolutely fine solution that I can do the complete different network layer. Now these are three different networks, correct? These are three different network. Now I don't bother about what is the last number because this is the class C network. So what is the last number? I don't care, but all three networks are completely different. Isolation is possible. Yes, it is done. No one can see each other because they are completely different network. But one problem is there. The problem is there that these all switches are connected, whether you are connected with different network. I told you switch does not work on IP address. You don't know whether you are connected with a different network or not. If someone from his computer try to send the broadcasting messages, that broadcasting messages will ultimately come to all the switch port. Even it will come to your port where your computers are connected. Unnecessarily, that particular message which needs to be processed. I can send some messages which contain some anomaly or some kind of a virus. I can do that. So yeah, if I have the network segmentation, that's fine, but switch does not understand this. Switch understand only the MAC address. So any broadcast comes over here, you couldn't stop that, do not go to this switch. It is not possible, correct? So here is the case. There is a concept called as VLAN. This is called as virtual LAN. If I'm creating a different network together, at the same time, you can create a virtual LAN on the top of the switch. You can see within a physical switch, I will create a small virtual switch and I will give that virtual switch as a VLAN ID. This is a VLAN. I will create a VLAN on this switch, correct? And I will make sure that the IT people, whatever port it is connected, I will make sure that those physical port should be the part of this VLAN. I just need to add that port to the part of VLAN. So I will say IT department is a part of this VLAN, correct? The port number 10, 15, whatever port number which I connected these computers, I will create a VLAN and I will say this VLAN would have port number 10 and 11 connected, correct? And they are having this IP addressing scheme. That's great. I will create a VLAN for admin on this particular switch. I will create a VLAN for my management people on this switch, correct? That is also possible, no doubt about that. Now what happened? I connected all this port into this VLAN. Now what happened? If there is a broadcast message coming from IT VLAN, that broadcast message only work on this particular port. It will not go to every port of the switch now. It would be within that VLAN. Now you said that IT people can come down and do work. Yes, if they want to do come down to the second floor and do that particular work, then they have to make sure that their VLAN should be created on this particular router, sorry, on this particular switch. And the port which is occupied on this particular switch, your computer should be connected to that port who is the part of this VLAN. Then only it is possible. Correct. So VLAN is nothing but a virtual local area which you can configure on the top of the physical switch. And the purpose is whatever broadcasting unnecessarily happening to the switch, whether they are different networks, still broadcasting would be happening, because switch does not understand IP address. He got the broadcast message, he will spread it to everywhere. So unnecessarily that broadcast will go to every network. I know that that broadcast is not made for them, but still, to avoid this, we have a concept called as virtual LAN. So we will create a virtual LAN. We will add this physical port into virtual LAN, and I will tell this virtual LAN any broadcasting happen within these two computer, it has to be between these two physical port, which is the part of this VLAN. Do not spread that broadcasting messages to any other physical port. It should be restricted for this VLAN only. So within a physical switch, I can create one more logical switch inside, and that concept is called as VLAN. We will see in the switching what are the different type of VLANs are available. There is a protocol called as VTP, VLAN trunking protocol. There is a concept called as DTP, dynamic trunking protocol. There is a concept called as trunk. There is a concept called as VLAN tagging, correct? We will be able to see everything in the concept called as VLAN, correct? So understand, this is very important concept. This is only available on the top of switches, correct? This is what we are talking about. I said on my single switch, I can have multiple VLANs, and I will just tell my switch this port number 2 is the part of VLAN 15, correct? Port number 7 is a part of VLAN 15. So any broadcasting will happen between this VLAN 15, which is belong to sales team. That broadcasting only go to the port number 2. Why? Because they are the part of the same VLAN. If I don't have the VLAN concept, I connected with a different network together, but if computer 7 sends any broadcast, it will ultimately go to the port 3, port 4, port 5, port 6 as well, because that is a broadcasting message. But I do not want to broadcast it, because if you do the broadcasting, I can install the sniffing software and I will come to know what you guys are doing. There is a security breach. Even I can send some anomaly or any kind of malware with the help of broadcasting message. Now to avoid such kind of impact, correct, on the top of the switch we do have a VLAN concept. So if I create a VLAN, you can see VLAN 15 here, VLAN 15 here. It is connected to the port number 2. It is connected to port number 7. So these two are the part of one VLAN, these two computer. Correct? We do have VLAN 35, 4 and 6. You can see these are the two part of the VLAN, and port 6 and 4. Correct. Then we do have switch 12 and switch 10. Now that is not a part of VLAN. That 8 and 3. So this is 3 and 8. So this is VLAN. So any broadcasting message sent by this computer, it will go to this computer only. Correct? It will not go to any other computers. They can talk with only with each other. They cannot talk with any other. Rather, they are connected to the single switch. Okay, they are connected to the single switch. Still, they are not be able to talk with each other. Correct? This is the concept called as VLAN. Very, very important concept. It is majorly utilized in our organization in order to stop the broadcasting happening on the switches, in order to make your entire local area or layer 2 network in a secured fashion. Correct? We will practically see how to create a VLAN on the top of a switch, how to take the port into the VLAN, how to create a trunk port. Correct? There is a concept called as inter-routing VLAN that is also can be done. We can see that as well. So everything we are going to see it practically when we are going to talk about it. Okay. So that's it in the chapter number 6. It is pretty lengthy and pretty confusing because there are some advanced concept and advanced things are available. But if you have any doubts when you are going to do the CCNA, that time you are doing everything practically. That time everything would be clear and everything would be mostly practical things. So it would be easier for you to understand. Correct? So that is also very good option which we can do it. So do you have any doubts regarding IP addressing and routing which we have seen? Anything which you do not understand, anything which we cannot able to explain you can ask me.
Thanks for watching. Want to study further? Join our training programs today.